Hi there. Thank you for joining in and welcome to my professional development webinar on writing through reading. My name is Chelsea Carvalho and I will be your host for today. We will be discussing and going through ideas found in an article on how teachers can help students with their writing through reading. So this is a great professional development webinar for reading and or ELA writing teachers to work on strategies with their students and engage with them and help them with the process of writing, especially those who are struggling with writing. We definitely have a lot of struggling readers out there. But once we get past the struggling part of reading, it might be harder for students to learn how to write and to write well. So if we have students who are reading well, then we can get them also to write well. So here we go. So this is our professional development outline. We will be taking a deep dive into the article titled Developing Writing Skills Through Reading. And this is authored by Bünyamin, and he is from the Department of Language. So our talking points for today, I will be going through the introduction of his article, and then I will go into the developing writing skills through reading, which is the bulk of his article, and then of course going through the conclusion. So I have here with me the printed out article. It has a lot of great information in there for reading and ELA teachers. I took out the parts that I felt were most valuable for us as teachers to understand how exactly we can get our students to write better through reading, and what does that mean really. So we'll be going into those parts of his article. At the end of this presentation, I do have the reference if you would like to search the article yourself and read through it. I highly recommend this article. And a great part of this article is it also helps with techniques and tips used for ELL students or students who are learning English because they come from another country. So as an ESOL teacher, and I have my ESOL endorsement, this article had great tips that really intertwined with teaching not just students who their native language is English, but also students who their native language is not English, and how they can use reading to help with their writing skills. Okay, so his introduction. We all know, reading and writing teachers, we know that writing is most definitely a painful activity for learners, especially those learners who are not, they prefer maybe math and science. I have taught a lot of students, and usually my students who are in my regular classes, writing can be a painful activity. Not a lot of students like it. It's hard for them to understand the concept, even when I break down for them what an introduction is, the three parts of an introduction. So we have our hook, the transition sentence, and our thesis. Just the introduction is so hard for them to understand, and then let alone get into the body paragraphs and the conclusion. And of course that would be a formal writing activity. Creative writing, I have found, is a lot easier for students, and of course, because we leave it up to their creativity, their imagination. We kind of just let the writing flow. I always love to start with a creative writing piece, so my students feel that, okay, I was able to write something for my teacher and I did well on it. Maybe this other thing, even though I might not know exactly what she's talking about right away, I can work through it and get to it. So I do love to start with creative writing. So for an ELL student or a second language learner in particular, they struggle to achieve the language proficiency. And because of this struggle, of course, writing is going to be a lot more difficult for them to learn how to do. Reading materials will set a good model for students to be able to transfer to their own writing. So if you have printed books or articles or magazines, and it doesn't have to be just chapter books, it can be autobiographies or information type texts, or even something that might spark their interest like sci-fi. Those would be great to model how a student can, if they're reading it, they can see, oh, this is how I can be writing. Oh, I didn't know that we can write short sentences like this. I thought our sentences had to be long. So sometimes teaching them something and us saying it verbally to them might not click, but if they see a good model of a printed material, then that might spark their interest and get them to be a little bit more creative in their writing. So our goal as a teacher, we are wanting to help our students acquire and develop the skills used for comprehension and expression, right? That is our main goal of teaching reading. And when the students are comprehending what they are reading, they are able to express themselves through writing. How are we going to do this? Using literary genres for teaching vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation are great techniques for getting our readers to become writers. So having access to different literary genres is a must for our students. What is seen through reading that will help students with writing? Well, word patterns and metaphors used in literary genres provide learners with knowledge of vocabulary. Once our students have expanded their vocabulary, they are going to become better writers because they are going to use words that they may not have used before. So when we're exposing them to reading different literary genres, we are exposing them to have to learn new vocabulary words and to expand their vocabulary knowledge. Writing skills, which is one of the 4 basic skills taught through ELA, is the most challenging skill for students and teachers. Noonan, from 2003, he says, writing is the way in which thoughts are revealed and expressed and presented to readers, sorry, cut off there for me, in sentences and paragraphs. So when we are writing, we are able to show our readers how we can express our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions through the use of sentences and paragraphs. So when we break it down for our students and we show this one sentence can invoke emotion and feelings in you as a reader, this is something that you can create yourself. So that is how we are wanting our students to make the connection when they are reading books in different genres. They are able to see, oh, I can do that in my writing. I can make my writing sound more appealing to the reader's emotions and not just hi, my name is blank and I'm going to tell you about blank, right? We have so many of our students that learn that in elementary, and then when they get older to middle school, like I taught middle school, it's harder to break them of that, hi, my name is blank, let me talk to you about blank. So we want their writing to be a little bit more spicy and a little bit more enticing as an audience member reading it. Developing writing through reading. So reading requires understanding, right? Comprehension, which is what we had just talked about. In 2013, Dermis, he wrote, reading is the activity of seeing, perceiving, comprehending, and making sense of all words, sentences, or writing with its elements. So when we are able to perceive and comprehend something, then we are making sense of the words that are used in that text. And we are now understanding the composition of sentences. In 2016, Demriel wrote, reading is the activity of deriving meaning from written symbols through the collaboration of cognitive behaviors and psychomotor skills. So again, diving deep into a student's comprehension of reading is going to help them become better writers. When we work on the comprehension skills for a student, we are building the foundation, and having that foundation there is essential for all other skills that are taught through English language arts, which is writing. Our aim. The teacher should use the story as a teaching material to activate the learner's previous knowledge during the reading process. I love to use a diagram chart for my students, and some of you may have used it, I'm sure, in your own classrooms, which is the KWL. The K stands for what do you know, the W stands for what do you want to know, and the L stands for what have you learned. So this is a great tool for activating our students' prior knowledge during reading. Before we even begin reading, what do you know about the topic? Ask your students that. What do you know? Let's list down, bullet point, everything that you know. Let's collaborate together and talk about the topic we're about to read. And as we are reading the topic, what is being activated in your brain right now of what you previously learned? And when we finish reading, what did you learn from that topic? This is a great tool to use to have our students really critically thinking as they are reading. And when we get them to critically think when they're reading, we can get them to critically think when they're writing. So through reading, learners will acquire language input. They will learn what others have written. They will understand the structure of writing and vocabulary. And they will be exposed to language patterns, which then they will be able to understand the composition of sentences and grammatical structure. All of these little details tying in together and helping our readers become better writers. In 1983, Whitrock wrote, good reading, like effective writing, involves generative processes that create meaning by building relations between the text and what we know, believe, and experience. Now, what that looks like is comprehension, which leads to constructing meaning of the text. And then reading enhances our students' cultural knowledge, which then turns writing into an enjoyable learning experience, not something painful that we have been trying to teach, but something enjoyable. They're going to look at writing as something fun to do, not just the creative writing, but the formal writing as well. And finally, our conclusion. Um, we, what is seen here through the end of our author Salik's article, writing requires skills rather than knowledge. A process that is related to developing cognitive skills through story reading, comprehension, and inferences. And successful writing is achieved through plenty of reading. The more you expose your students to reading, the more they are going to make those connections and see how to use the different grammatical skills that are used in novels and other literary genres, and they're going to incorporate that into their own writing. Reading allows for students to learn language patterns, and furthermore, reading will develop their comprehension skills. Reading contributes to language learning and is a useful source of developing writing skills. With that said, I hope this presentation has given you as an educator a little bit more insight into how we can connect reading and writing, how we can make them work together, and hopefully our students will be able to become better writers through reading. Thank you so much for viewing my webinar on writing through reading. I truly hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you use some of the ideas that were talked about in this webinar with your own students. And please leave a comment for what you have used, what is working for you in your classroom. Or if you decide to take any of these ideas and implement it into your classroom, please come back and comment on this post with, did it work? Did it not work? What did you find that was maybe better? I'd love to hear it. Thank you. Again, my name is Chelsea Carvalho, and thank you for viewing my professional development webinar on writing through reading. Have a great day.